kabla ya hiyo acha nikaribisha mgeni pia ambaye tuko naye hapa, NATHANIEL MONG'ARE, incoming Secretary General wa ANC Party. Wetu wa Baba Musalia Mudavadi. Good to see you. Bro, how are you?
Good morning to you.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. Tangu nikuje The Tackle. You know, this is one of my favorite shows.
Thank you, bro.
Huwa naamka kuangalia.
One of your favorite shows or your only favorite show?
It's one of the major favorite shows. Niko na mbili, lakini this is one of my favorite in the morning. Ingine ni ya jioni.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Bitok.
Mazuri ya mwaka.
Wengi wamekusalimia. Watu wengi wanakujua. Share many friends.
Haya.
So nimefurahi sana kuja hapa The Tackle tuchangamue siasa na masuala ya wananchi.
Kwanza hongera, nasikia ndio SG mtarajio wa ANC Party.
Kabisa, you know, Bitok. Sisi kama chama tuko na nafasi, na sisi kama vijana lazima tujitume
kabisa.
Na kama kuna nafasi venye sisi tunacheza siasa kwa chama, hiyo kiti iko vacant. Tangu Barack Muluka atoroke mwaka uliopita, nasikia alinunuliwa na Hasla, akaenda huko akatoroka na mambo mengi yetu. Sasa hiyo kiti iko vacant, na where there is a vacancy, power abhors a vacuum. Sasa mimi nimesema there is no harm in expressing ambition katika kiti ambayo iko vacant. So sisi tunataka tufanyie watu kazi. Kipata nafasi ya kufanya kazi kama katibu mkuu wa chama cha ANC, unajua mambo ambayo sisi tunasimamia au tunakutana katika mikutano mingi Bitok. So sisi tunataka tufanyie watu kazi. Cha muhimu ni vijana ambao wamepoteza matumaini. Na ukiangalia leo tumeanza na mjadala mzuri. Umeweza kuuliza swali, kwa nini tunaombea serikali? Na ni swali nzuri ambao umeuliza, na ndugu yetu hapa Ojwang pia ameweza kuzungumzia. Bitok, ukiangalia katika Biblia, na mimi nitauliza watu wetu swali ambao wanatufuatilia, na nitaweka kwa Kizungu. Is evil thriving in the world because there are too many evil people doing evil deeds, or because good people are doing little or nothing about it?
I think it's because the good people are quiet.
The good people are quiet.
Crazy things that happen.
Now that is why we are having part leaders. Na I know Ojwang will agree with me that kwamba the good people ambao wanafaa kuwa wanaleta mageuzi na mabadiliko katika taifa la Kenya, they are doing little or nothing at all. So lazima tuamke. That's why tunasema civic duty. Kuna zile civic duties za mwananchi. Lazima tuamke, tuchague viongozi ambao wanaweza tusaidia maisha yetu. You interrogate and then vote. You don't vote and then you interrogate. Tumeona mambo ambayo yamefanyika katika taifa la Kenya. Tumechagua viongozi, baadaye tunakuja kulalamika. So viongozi lazima waamke. Tumeona hata masuala mengi, kuna masuala mazito yako mbele yetu. Tuko na masuala ya BBI ambayo wamekuja. Lazima tuinterrogate masuala kama hayo kabla tujapiga kura yetu. So tusiweze kuja kulalamika hapo tena mbele. Bitok tena watu waanze kusema ati hatukuwa tunajua huyu, hatukuwa tunajua ule. Sasa hizi Bitok ukiangalia asubuhi hii, ukiangalia kwa miaka 24 ambayo Rais Moi alikuwa anatuongoza, aliweza kukopa 624 million only. Kwa miaka 10 ambayo Mheshimiwa Kibaki alikuwa katika uongozi, aliweza kukopa 1.2 trillion only for 10 years. Lakini kwa miaka 8 ama siji 7 yenye ambayo President Uhuru Kenyatta amekuwa kwa uongozi, ameweza kukopa 5.2 trillion. Na hizo ni statistics katika Central Bank of Kenya website. So tunajiuliza maswali. Hizi pesa ambazo zinakopwa kwa sababu haya ni maamuzi ambayo yanaenda kuathiri vizazi vijazo. Hizi pesa ambazo zinakopwa, hizi pesa mbona hatujaziona zikibadilisha maisha ya mwananchi mdogo? So lazima wananchi wetu wajue, aswa vijana, kwa sababu hao wazee wamemaliza mambo yao. In the next 10 years we are not going to have Raila in politics. You're not going to have akina Musalia, akina Kalonzo, akina nani, kina Ruto. You're not going to have these leaders in this politics. Sisi vijana wa vizazi vya sasa ndio tutakuwa katika hizi siasa na maneno ya uongozi. So lazima tuweze kuanza kwa sasa. Tuangalie ni njia ipi ambayo tutapeleka nchi ya Kenya mbele.
But umesema hiyo, you've talked about the debt, the national debt, and it's actually quite crazy. I think that's some figures which was posted yesterday about where Moi left it and Kibaki
and
I'm trying to find it. I think I put it somewhere.
Yeah, those figures are out there.
They are very outrageous. I think I saw it. I saw some of the figures.
For Moi it was about 600 billion for 24 years. Can you imagine that?
And Uhuru was taken to 5.3 trillion.
Uhuru amekopa 5.2 trillion, and this information is available at the website of the Central Bank of Kenya. Hizi ni ile vitu ambayo imetabitiwa, si propaganda. So ukiangalia Bitok, ukiangalia hali ya uchumi katika siasa ya Kenya, katika nchi ya Kenya kwa sasa, watu wanaumia. Ukiangalia pale manyumbani, akina mama hata kuweza kununua mafuta taa ya kupika ama kufanya kitu pale nyumbani. Kijana hata kununua airtime ama bundles ya kuingia katika the favorite show the Tackle ni ngumu sana. So lazima tuanze kuangalia kwa umakini. Sasa hizi wanataka kutulazimishia masuala fulani, tuweze kupiga kwa njia fulani hizi vitu za BBI. Lazima tuangalie masuala vizuri kabla tujapiga kura.
All right. Kabla Ojwang, I would want you to maybe before you weigh in on the topic of the day, because the topic of the day, is there anything that you want to weigh in maybe on the conversation that has started off already?
No, I yield the rest of my time on this. I like the discussion and I agree with what has been put. The statistics is clear. They tell a story of reckless borrowing and spendthrift. If somebody is a spendthrift, they are spendthrift, and we all suffer. It is spent by a person. These debts are owed by states, not government. So even if the government leave, the state must pay. And there is a big discussion on Africa, where the discussion was Africa was trying to woo the Western countries for debt relief, because it is the biggest injustice right now for some of those projects. Yet the government is digging the hole deeper, notwithstanding that a lot of African countries are mobilizing for debt relief. We continue digging. One thing, when you're stuck in the hole, you don't continue spinning the wheel and digging deeper. Literally, we are stuck. The economy is thin, very thin. It feels like we're in recession. It doesn't matter what the economists say, because we live in this economy. Money does not stretch far. The 5,000 shopping appear to be 1,000 shopping. That is the reality that we are in. It doesn't look good. Asante.
All right. And there's another thing, when you look at government priorities, even as we continue to borrow billions of money, they claim that they're putting money in the economy. But you see, it does not have any direct benefit to the economy. And my question has always been, what is the benefit of the figures that we keep talking about? The economy is growing by 6%, 7%, 15%. What does it mean to a villager who does not have access to roads, who does not have access to medical attention, who does not have access to schools? I'll throw it to you, John, before I throw it to Nathaniel.
Right.
Is the economy for the guys at the top or for the manager at the bottom?
There has been the talk of even Africa rising. And the question the economist or somebody like me who teach law and development is asking is rising for who? Economy is thriving. The question is, it's thriving for who? Is Mama Mboga? Because that's the real test. Is Mama Mboga now better off than they were? There is what is called infrastructural corruption. And this is a real threat than even the corruption that somebody take money that was meant for project. You do mega project with the intention to make money, not to help the economy. That has become, in fact, the latest literature rank that as higher level of corruption than simply taking Kimarer money. Because you bring a project, that project is not well thought, that project is not meant for that economy, but it is meant for kickbacks. So even if you deliver that project and you didn't even take 1 cent in corruption, but the whole project is a scam from the beginning. We have seen a number of those in Kenya. We know that the bigger part of our economy is still existing within the informal. There is invisibility. And I like this debate, Bitok, because you know that even in the US, 2 weeks ago, coming to last week, there was the Robin Hood, where people who are excluded from the economy, people who do not have those funds and are not seeking the services of brokers, came together and said, we are going to buy stock in this business that was falling, and it raised the stock. And all the rich people were mad because the rich people had betted on the other side. And so when the poor people with their few dollars brought their money together and entered Wall Street, it was a bloodless revolution. But now even Biden is contemplating how to make rules so that they don't do that again. You can see in Kenya the issue of class issue, the invisibility of poverty. I saw in Mexico one member of parliament addressing parliament when he had stripped down to his boxers. And he was saying, why are you embarrassed that I'm embarrassing you, I'm Mheshimiwa, but you don't have a problem with all those invisible people in the street who are sleeping in the street, who are naked as a country, yet you continue borrowing and lending. Now, the misalignment is deafening because this is the time that, I was in the rural in Homa Bay. I found that the doctors are on strike. There is no hospital. I had a brother who was sick. I had to take him to St. Paul's. It's a private hospital.
Sad.
Now, meanwhile, when you hear the national conversation, you'll think we are in two countries. If an alien came from heaven and came to Kenya, you will find a tale of two cities. If you have read A Tale of Two Cities, it was the days of darkness. It was also the days of light. If an alien came to Kenya, he will not think that Kenya is facing a crisis of COVID, given where our politics is. He will not think, he will wonder that is this the same country where in one side doctors are on strike, the nurses are on strike, but on one side MCAs are promised heaven to pass BBI. Is this one country where the BBI is the priority, but on the other side students are going to school under trees? So we have become, and the leaders have become simply the I don't care, I will get what I want to do, and it is up to the citizens to watch themselves. So as I conclude, every time you're told the economy is doing good, statistics is good, but also the human stories, the human agency. Is Mama Mboga feeling more money on her hand? The answer is obvious. No. Is that border guy, if you go there in town, you'll ask them, they will tell you people don't board anymore. They'd increased the fee to 200, they've brought it down to 100 again because people cannot afford their services. Now, if somebody cannot afford a border service, can they afford saloon? Can they afford schools? Can they afford... Doctors are dying because they cannot afford the service they provide. They cannot afford themselves to be treated by their colleagues when they are sick or they have COVID. So it is a very hard life. But to me, as I conclude, do not take it for granted, because the theme of the world is the inequality is becoming so bad. The poverty is becoming so endemic. The structural insensitivity that I don't care what is happening as long as a few of us are okay and we are getting our way is becoming the order of the day. That now talks like a hustler narrative become very easy because everybody is waking up and saying, by the way, I'm poor. Wow, I never knew I'm poor. Wow, and you are poor, and you are poor, and you are poor. We are all poor.
And you find a place where you unify.
and you unify under the banner of we are poor. But beyond that, not to oversimplify the narrative, is that no, anytime Bitok you find poverty, it is a prima facie case of injustice, human right deprivation. People are not poor by nature. People are poor because the system, the structure has made them poor. And that is a very important discussion. Asante.
Oh, that's very powerful. We are not poor because it's a coincidence. We are poor because of policy choice and the fact that the government decided that we must be poor. The question is, Nathaniel, who does the economy belong to? When you talk about economy improving by digits, double digits, or whatever, 4 digits or 5 digits or 6 digits, if the common humanity does not feel it, The common Jude does not have access to roads, access to hospital, medical care, access to food. Who does the economy belong to?
First of all, Bitok, you are very correct in saying that the government priorities are very they are wrong. The government priorities have not been aligned to the interests of the common mwananchi. And I think I like what Ojwang has mentioned regarding the issue of the economy and who is it working for. He has asked very pertinent questions. If Africa is rising, who is it rising for? If the economy is doing well, who is benefiting from that economy? And those are very pertinent questions. So, Bitok, if you look at the statistics, and I just want to mention them because I have gone through those statistics regarding the economic growth. Let me perhaps talk about the Jubilee administration. The Jubilee administration, the highest they have ever come to is 6.3%, which was 2019 financial year. The economy grew by 6.3%. But the economy was growing at 6.3% for the top people. Those people who are at the top. It was not growing for the masses, the poor masses of our people at the bottom. So that means that we need to change the economic priorities and change the economic model. And as Ojwang has rightly put it, that if you look at the government borrowing to finance capital projects, these capital projects, for instance, and I'll give examples so that our viewers can understand this. The government will want to construct, for example, an SGR, a standard gauge railway. This SGR project is going to take about maybe 30 years for it to recover its initial investment. But they have borrowed a loan, a commercial loan, that is supposed to be repaid within 10 years. So, Bitok, how do you match a project that is going to take 30 years to recoup the investment, and then you borrow a loan that is going to take 10 years for you to repay, and it's a commercial loan with high rates of repayment? So the government priorities are not correct. If you look initially, part of the reason why the administration of Kibaki and others, I'm not saying they were perfect, they succeeded, is because they focused more on concessional loans. And our viewers need to understand this. The concessional loans to finance government projects to unlock the economy are those loans that are issued by institutions of the world that are recognized. For instance, World Bank, IMF, because those loans comes with a lot of conditions on good governance. You cannot be given a loan if you have not sorted the issue of maybe the financial sector, there is good governance in that sector. The loans, you have to demonstrate that you are going to put the monies into good use. So there is a mismatch between the government projects and secondly, the loans are being borrowed. We can take many examples. Currently, there is a project that is being constructed by the government. This one of the JKIA, James Gishuru Expressway. That project is being said it will cost about 63 billion, or up there about, an average of 62 billion Kenyan shillings. And that project is supposed to ease the congestion in Nairobi. You have seen what the urban planners experts are saying, that project in fact is going to be worse off. The traffic jam is not going to be solved in Nairobi. It is going to be the opposite, and the cost is too high. Who constructs a kilometer of road for a cost of 2 billion? A Bitok. And then you will realize that this project, the expressway, it's such an investment it's an investment that you would rather take that money and unlock the interior part of the country. So the government has to get its priorities right, and it has to match the capital projects they want to invest in and match them with the loans they are borrowing. We would rather expand the base at the rural area so that once we have baked a bigger cake, people can pay taxes so that we finance our own projects, so that we have a modest plan. If you look at what the Vision 2030 did, they put in some proper roadmap on how the country can go forward into getting out of the third world country into a middle income earning country. What did they envisage in that vision? They wanted everybody, the poor person, the mamamboga, the boda, the kiosk person, that ordinary mwananchi, the poor masses of our people, to get economy. Money in their pockets. Yeah. That is we call it household income. If you cannot, somebody cannot put food on the table, and you're giving that person a good road, you're giving that person an SGR or a railway or whichever, what are they going to benefit from this capital project? We would rather invest in small projects that are going to help the people. For instance, a mamamboga would rather have a good market where they can be able to display their products and sell and put food on the table. Mtu wa boda boda would rather have a good shed where they can be able to do their job easily. They would rather have a good road. These taxi drivers, they would rather have the feeder roads being properly done so that they can be able to deliver their customers well. That is how they're going to be helped. So there is a whole big issue, Bitok, in the management of this country. And finally, let me mention the issues, the bread and butter issues of the wananchi at the county level. The national government, when we started devolution, has starved the counties, not only funds, they have also denied the counties releasing and unbundling the functions that were devolved in the 4th schedule of the Constitution. For instance, I will point to 2 functions that the national government does not want to release to counties. One of them is the issue of county roads. There has been a long dispute between the national government and the county governments on unbundling what is this animal called county roads, because it is written in the 4th schedule of the Constitution. Right now, there is a department called KERA, the Kenya Rural Roads Authority. KERA is holding onto roads that are supposed to be performed, a function of roads, county roads that is supposed to be performed by counties. And the government was mischievous, the national government, in coming up with the Road Classification Act, saying that certain roads are now belonging to KERA, yet the entire parastatal called KERA should be under county governors. And then because the principle of devolution is resources follow function, the national government cannot be able to devolve those funds because the function has not been devolved. The second one is the issue of health. Health is 90% devolved, Bitok. But the national government, the largest budget for health is with the national government. When health is 90% devolved, the only function that has remained at the national level is the function of the national referrals and the policy. It is only the 2 functions that have remained at the national government. Yet we see the government investing billions of shillings at the national level and starving counties, and that's why you had Ojwang saying the issue of hospitals. The public health system is wanting, because the national government, the cartels at the national level, they don't want to unbundle the health function. The other one is the function of agriculture. Agriculture is 90% devolved, and Bitok, our viewers should read the 4th schedule of the Constitution that distributes the functions between the national government and the county government. So we need to tackle the issues. Once we devolve more money to mashinani, once the monies are available for the governors and our people elect good governors who can be able to implement robust programs for the poor masses of the people, then we are going to unlock the economic potential of this country.
All right. Before we come back again, it's 1 year since we lost 15 pupils in Kakamega via stampede that happened in a school. 15 years down the line, I heard the CS for Education, Makoa, was being interviewed. 1 year, you lost 15 children. The government is yet to release any reports on what happened actually. There was a report that was open to public at that time. There's an inquest into what happened at the school. The government is yet to release the report 1 year later. And I had Makoa was being interviewed yesterday by the media, and Makoa say that it's normal. We need to move on. What happened is normal. It has happened. What do you want me to do? You want me to kill the teachers in the school? That's a question I had him asking. And you see, when Magoa says it's normal, there's a family that's still mourning, because I had some of the interviews already are covered. There's still a lot of pain, raw pain in the families that lost their children. I mean, it's until you lose a child, that's when you understand the pain that it means to lose, actually not even a child, to lose a family member, or to lose someone, even a friend. Magoa says it's normal. The government has never taken responsibility for the same. It has never told us what caused the stampede, that we lost 15 children. It has not told us what measures the school or the government has taken to ensure that we don't lose any more children, because children are still going to that school. That's a fact. We still have children going to that school. It has never told us who caused the tragedy there, what happened, and what they are doing to prevent it. They've never told us what are the results of the report that was conducted and the investigation that was conducted. They have not released the report yet. The CS for Education is telling the parents that it's normal. I mean, this is okay. There's nothing we can do. It's already happened. What do you want me to do? Munataka nifanye nini? Ojwang, you're a parent. How does this make you feel? Is it normal to lose a child? Is it normal to take your other children to the same school and still feel it's normal that we lost the other one?
It's not Bitok, and it is sad. That is what, poverty is not just about lack of money. It is actually lack of opportunities and choices. If you read Amartya Sen, life was not meant to be like that, where your child is dead and you're told move on, where you still find yourself with no choice but to take your children to the same school without knowing what happened. But that is what poverty does. That when you are poor, and there's a lot of literature about that when somebody died, like for example in the US, the government take it very serious when somebody dies. So all human beings are not the same. If this will had happened in Brighton, that will not be the story. It will have been a headline. It will have been, we will have seen the picture of those children one by one, not statistics. We will have seen the picture, this is so-and-so liked soccer, so-and-so, this is his favorite toy, so-and-so liked this meal. But even from the beginning, there was no dignity even in death. What we were being given is statistics. We remember, again, with that day when we saw 15 coffins at the stadium. It is, why is somebody feeling they can bring report or not bring report? Why is somebody feeling they can do this as a team? Why is there no picture or story of each and individual child? The answer is, we live in a class society where you don't matter.
Animal farm.
Your human dignity, when you are poor, you don't have dignity. We have, and that is why we talk of statistics. Up to now, even some of us who followed it keenly don't remember even one name of one of the children. We talk of the Kakamega 15. It is a system that we have adopted, that the life of the poor means less. It has also been kind of accepted and fashioned as an African way of saying, you know, God knows. The revenge belongs to God. But there is no justice. And when people pursue justice, they're not just pursuing revenge, they're pursuing justice for those who have remained. Yeah. Bitok, it is in the mode of what we were discussing, where Ricky Martin brought a song, Livida Loca, meaning leading a crazy life. Within 1998 there, he wrote a song about La Vida Loca, and it was a Spanish word meaning living a crazy life. A life where nothing matters, things are not important, because you find that those people have been forgotten. And as you aptly put it, except the parents and siblings who know that their children are gone. They were simply statistics. One funeral, one big funeral. The politician came and spoke. Remember the issue of it might be those who pray in those schools. I even remember that theory that maybe those who pray in those schools have brought the demons and the spirits. There is no accountability. Our constitution talks of accountability. It is an issue of governance. Governance is about the sovereignty of the people. Governance is about being accountable. So if you are a Ministry of Education and you say that I will be accountable on this sense, and then you yourself, you are not making that report for you. You are not the one who tells when people should move on. You are not a therapist. Neither you are a prophet. You bring the report. We will tell you, and the nation will tell you when they have moved on. It is very sad. Thanks.
Nathaniel Mong'are, is it okay to move on?
It is not okay, Bitok. And I want to associate myself with the sentiments that have been mentioned. It is not okay in death that when we lose children whose future, probably most of them, they had very big dreams. They wanted to be pilots, they wanted to be leaders, they wanted to be doctors. They carry the aspirations and the visions of their parents. And these are poor children. And Bitok, there is something wrong with our system of governance in Kenya. The system is rigged against the poor. If you are a poor person, you have already been classified that you cannot get justice.
You have already suffered in advance.
In fact, your fate is known even before you go to the courts, because the system is rigged. Today, when the CS says that it is normal to lose children, or it is normal to experience death, and what do you want me to do? Then you wonder whether that person in the first place qualified to hold that docket. In fact, I've never seen a worst performer in the Ministry of Education like Professor George Mahoa. I don't know why he's called a professor. That person should not, we have seen him making very reckless statements. During the pandemic, he has been unable to stabilize the education system. We have seen he has made conflicting statements on the future of the education system itself. So when he makes such a reckless statement that it is normal to experience death, instead of encouraging the inquiries that are being done by either the criminal justice system, is making reckless statement that there is nothing that we can do. Really? This is sad. In fact, I'm wondering why our parliamentarians should not have already initiated a motion of impeachment against the minister, because these are very reckless statements when you say them in public. We should have had one of our MPs initiating a motion of impeachment against the minister to censor that person to come and explain the meaning of that statement, because these are statements that go on record and they create a bad precedent for this country. This is something that we have never experienced before. And if you look at, basically I had alluded to the things he has been able to say. I heard him the other day also making a statement that teachers should be innovative and teach under trees under these times of COVID in the name of keeping social distance. It is not correct when the government is prioritizing resources to non-entities, non-essential issues, when we should be channeling most of these resources to basic issues like basic education.
And he actually went ahead and recommended a Peponi who are having very spacious classrooms. I mean, we live in a very interesting country.
It is wrong. When you see Rwanda as a country, in the period time, the COVID time, they have been able to construct more than 22,000 classrooms during the corona times, just to ensure that the infrastructure is sufficient for the children in Rwanda. And Rwanda is a very small country. What can we do in Kenya? Instead of giving MCAs 4.6 billion for the car grants, why don't the government take that money and channel it to schools for infrastructure development? So that, you know, the positive side of also a pandemic is that it comes with its advantages. Right now, the pandemic has exposed the public health system. It has told us we need to make investments in our public health care. The pandemic has also told us we need to make investments in the education system, that just in case we get a future pandemic, what are we going to do with the education system? Because our children lost a whole year of learning time. You have seen the report that is there today in the Star newspaper, that the standard 8 students are unprepared. In fact, they are failed.
Mass failure.
50%, they could not get more than 50% of their assessment tests. It tells you that there is something wrong with the leadership at the Ministry of Education, led by Professor Makoha. I don't know why I think he is over glorified for nothing. In fact, somebody should just initiate a motion of impeachment.
Maybe Ojwang will study this friend. All right. We move to something. Something that's happening in the country, violence that is going on. There is a threat to serious. I mean, we are just in 2021. We've not even gotten to electoral cycle. People already fighting. Yesterday there was a meeting. The ODM party was meeting its MCAs at Cooperative University in Karen, and there's a video that was going around of the MCAs and was saying that we've rested for too long. We need to start fighting back. There's also a statement that was posted by the ODM party, quoting Edwin Sifuna, who was actually chairing the meeting, who was saying the MCAs do with BBI, and he says, "I want to put you on notice that we are at war. We must be ready to face the enemy. It's not our wish, but the enemy has brought the war to our doorstep, and we must be prepared." That is SG Edwin Sifuna during a meeting with the party MCAs in Nairobi. "I want to put you on notice that we are at war. We must be ready to face the enemy. It's not our wish, but the enemy has brought the war to our doorstep, and we must be prepared to fight." There's also an MCA that I saw yesterday also telling Baba that we are ready to come back and fight for you, literally on the streets, fight other Kenyans. The president as well last week, while at Sagana, seemed to be endorsing the violence that's going on in the country by saying that tupa ni kutupia, turushiane, ukirusha na rusha, ukitupa na tupa, anasema hakuna mtu ambaye ana vijana, na akasema muliona vile vijana walitokea the next day. That was in Burma market. This is the presidency. We are also getting the same war drums being beaten from Karen yesterday at the ODM meeting. Ojwang, how does this make you feel?
I'm usually, I don't find those statements alarming, unfortunately. because I'm usually err on the side of free speech. And I think they are symbolic. I know Sifuna can be reckless, but, metaphor, of course, they can be construed in either way. But I'm just saying that to show that my standard is very low, because I even, up to now, have not found how Trump incited his people to invade Congress. I still believe those people did it on their own. So I have a very low standard, because I rather err in terms of free speech. I think that ODM felt caged and cornered. They might have been in panicky mood a little bit. I find that, and then I'm optimistic, because I think that we know where we have been. The booing and all that might be changed. They're not that good, but they're not so bad in my view. We are not doing so bad. We are not seeing people mobilizing. It is more in terms of, we go to a funeral, somebody is being booed, and remember, it's the leaders who are actually in the front line trying to grab mic from each other. So in my view, I don't think so, because I even oppose those who are saying, punguza temperature ya siasa. I think that is nonsense, because you cannot tell people not to talk of issues or plan of issues, and that saini saya kazi. Nobody takes money from your pocket. Nobody takes policy paper and trash them because people are selling politics. So I don't think it is as bad as people believe, number one. But secondly, I also feel that the structure that somebody like Magoha find himself is a structure that is not his making. He might be a perpetrator, but he's also a victim to some extent, because he's not the one who does the report. The report is done by the security arm. So I don't know why, out of his generosity, spoke about it. I'm one of the people who have supported him for closing the schools, because education comes after life. And knowing that education affects about 30-40% of our population, it was good to slow down the education. And I really know him as a courageous guy, because I noticed that the international school wanted to continue. They went to Magoha and said, we have our infrastructure, we are international, we can social distance. And he told them, I'm not making policies for the rich, I'm making policy for Kenyans. If you can go to Kibera and tell me how Kibera can also do the same, then we will open back the schools. So I think it's not all doom with Magoha, but he's operating in a system that is dilapidated and destroyed. There is no money. Nobody's giving him money. Money has gone to BBI. So what can my boy do? Apart from make some...
he cannot even release a paper document, a report.
He's not the one to
but he can push. He's a minister of education. It's the students fall under him.
But Kenya,
the students are not under police.
You know that Matiang'i is also his boss, isn't he? Isn't he the convener of the ministries? So
but I don't think Matiang'i is the boss of Magoha.
Do you delegate?
The boss is the president.
Do you delegate to your boss? No, the ministry which should do the investigation is the police, which is under...
I agree with you.
Matiang'i.
Yes,
Matiang'i is also very familiar with education. Remember, he was in education before. So here is Magoha. It is Matiang'i who is supposed to do it. It is Matiang'i who is also the prefect of the ministers. There is no money here. To give credit, let me tell you the person Magoha was. When everybody stood up to dance to the Jerusalem challenge, that is driving me to suicidal thoughts. Because rather than dealing with serious issues like you are bringing here, Kenyans will rather do Jerusalem challenge. And then it is the same dance, only done worse. Because one challenge in South Africa was just good enough. But that is not good enough for Kenya. So rather than dealing with it's an escapist way. Rather than dealing with their problems and their and their epidemic and their and the poverty that has become systematic, they jump to Jerusalem challenges, including parliament. I just don't know how the team in Sagana forgot the Jerusalem challenge. I wish somebody whispered, by the way, this thing cannot be over mpaka tufanye Jerusalem challenge. Magoa, to his credit, is the only person who sat throughout. Even people like church elder like Matiang'i who cannot move, try to move. Magoa sat in Kisumu and did not get into the silliness of the day. That is my guy anytime. Thank you.
So you feel Magoa is working because he refused to participate in the Jerusalem challenge?
He's so through it.
It is hilarious. It is hilarious.
The same question on you, Nathaniel. I mean, we had a country, and you know, it's quite interesting because, you know, Ojwang says it's not that bad. And Ojwang actually went to ICC, by the way. Ojwang was a lawyer at ICC. So when he says it's not as bad, I mean, he should be the first person who should be worried because he walked through the trenches of justice, the trenches of the consequences of violence. So, I mean, I'm also almost baffled, though I'm not surprised anymore, that Ojwang, you can be somehow tolerant and you can have some gloves on political intolerance. Having been, or you want another job again? Are you trying to look for legal fees? Anyway, for me, I get worried when I see such things because it's only a build-up. You know, the worst thing about politics is that the people.
Those are the days somebody could sit in a stage and say, "I don't like tribe B. They are bad people." That is not happening anymore.
It's happening. Arati did that on a podium.
Arati did that, but those people that he's talking about have the state power to protect themselves. They have media to call media and say, Arati we ni mjinga wa mwisho. You know, when we look at the balance of arms, look at the balance of arms. If today I said something about Mama Mboga, she's not going to call KTN and Citizen and NTV and say, Ojwang is wrong. But if I say something about those who own media, who owns this media, mainstream media, it is the same people that can call all the media and have a whole special week, a whole week to detox if they want. You see, the mobilization was around the tribe. Right now, look at it this way. I was reading the newspaper, the registrar of political parties, he's saying that Hustler narrative is divisive. How? That it is not inclusive. Why are you talking of the poor? This thing is not, you are not talking of the rich. I mean, so sometimes I become a little bit hesitant to say that when we find narratives that is not working for us, we call it hate. When we find a situation that it's a little hard for us, we call it intolerant. Let us label the playfield, I agree with you. But that label playfield should start with a good IBC, good election system, which we don't have as we talk.
I agree.
So I'm not flip-flopping. Sorry.
Right. As you weigh in also, Nathaniel, there's something that very fundamental that he has raised about the people who can defend themselves. But the problem is that also the justice system is rigged. I can imagine if the person who was making that statement in Kisii was someone like Sudi, because they share something with Arati. I mean, they are a bit reckless as well. If it was someone on the other side who was making, we have Sonko right now, he's sitting in the gallows. We'll go to that. But when you look at the way the justice system is, it's already rigged against some people.
It is obvious.
The same statement are coming in from one side are tolerated. MCS yesterday was talking a lot of gusto. And they're saying we are ready to fight. Edwin Sibuna, it's evident. The video is there. And they're saying that we are going to face our enemies. When someone talks about facing your enemy, it's not about coming to massage your enemy.
You say this means war.
Yes,
we have
war.
war on drugs. Yeah. We've been fighting physically.
That is a declaration of
So
war.
how does that make you feel?
It is obvious, Bitok, that the justice system in Kenya is rigged. We have two sets of judicial systems. We have the first set of judicial system for the poor, then the other judicial system is for the rich. If today, and we have seen it, the judicial system is already skewed against the poor, and it is obvious. There are judges who will make a pronouncement against the poor people, and there are those who will make pronouncements and even excuse the rich people who are going to face if they are found, if they are taken to the judiciary. So it is obvious we have two sets of the judicial systems, and we have to live with that fact unless the masses rise up and say that we want to level the playing field. The reason why we are having these problems is because we have never experienced electoral justice at the ballot, save for 2002. All other elections since independence, have always been rigged against somebody. And the moment we sort out the issue of electoral justice, that is when we will say the playing field is level. You've seen what happened in 2002. Kenya was ranked the most happy people in the world, were number one, because the level of enthusiasm and hope that was inspired among our people, the masses, was so high that Kibaki was coming in to be a savior, to change things that were the historical injustices, the marginalization that had happened for so many years since independence. Since then, 2007, we saw the same. We have seen the historical parallels between 2007 and 2005 referendum and what is happening right now. These are just red flags. This is a pointer of what is going to come in the next 15 months. And Bitok, you can take it to the bank that if we don't sort out the electoral system, if we don't have justice at the ballot, then we are going to experience this thing. Even if we bring BBI 1, BBI version 2, if we don't sort out the issue of electoral justice, that your vote counts, that if Bitok today votes, your vote should count as 1, and not that another person's vote is counted as 2. If we don't sort that issue of electoral justice, we will never have enough BBI. We will continue having BBIs, handshakes, and these things are not going to be sorted out. So the basic thing is to make sure that we go to the reports that I've done before. I've looked at the reports, like for instance, the Krieger Commission report, the Independent Review Commission. They made very good recommendations regarding on how to sort the electoral system so that the rest of these problems are sorted out. If you look at the Krieger Commission report, you will wonder why do we have BBI? We should have just taken the Krieger Commission report, the Ndungu Commission report, the TJRC report, and implement those reports. We don't need BBI and all these things. But because the system is already rigged against the poor masses, these things are discussed at the high boys, the big boys are discussing them at their clubs.
Then they come and say, this is what we've agreed.
It is not a people-driven initiative. So if you look at, particularly, let me point out the Krieger Commission report, and let me point out 2 recommendations they made. They made that because the issue has always been about the voter register. They said voter register should be automatic upon attaining the age of 18. Because there are certain regions that are denied the chance to vote, that you can only get a voter, you can get into the voter register once you have acquired an ID, and it is always a very serious hassle. So Krieger Commission report recommended that upon attaining the age of 18, your name automatically finds its way into the voter register. And then it should be based on residency with the option of changing. That now you are a voter in this area where you stay. That was a very, very good recommendation. Secondly, they made a raft of proposals on how to manage the elections, at least 2 years to the elections, deploying technology and managing technology on polling day, and making sure that technology works. It is combined with the human, the manual aspect. If we don't sort out those issues, we have seen what the IEBC is going through. Right now, IEBC is expected to conduct a referendum, at the same time plan for the general election. How possible is that going to be? It is not going to be possible for IEBC. We only have 3 commissioners. We have Chebukati, we have Abdigulie, and another called Bola Mod. Only 3 commissioners. With 15 months to the elections, Bitok. How can the 3 commissioners manage a referendum and manage a general election?
And you see that is where my question.
If we don't sort out this issue, and we have seen what Akina Nani saying, Akina Sifuna, the reason why Sifuna is making those statements, and I don't support them at all. I know Sifuna, we have been in the trenches together during the NASA. We formed NASA as ANC party, and we gave them, we gave Baba to carry the vision. And you saw what
Safari ya Kanani.
You know what Sifuna you know this story. When we arrived at River Jordan, you know what ODM and Raila did? What ODM and Raila did is that they betrayed the hopes and the struggles of the masses. The Nazarites who were going to Canaan, they were betrayed at River Jordan. Allegedly, that there were crocodiles in River Jordan. But that is not the story. The story is Sifuna is calling for war at the wrong time when he should be calling for peace. And it is simple. It is selfish pursuit of power. The likes of Sifuna, they're just pushing this, they're beating the drums of war because they want power at all means, even if it is on the deaths of the people. I don't support those statements. I don't support the clarion call by ODM. And we know this. You've seen what Simba Arati did to Osoro. As much as it is Osoro who started this thing, you saw what Simba Arati was almost saying. Simba Arati was calling for the Kisii community to rise up against a leader. I've never been associated with the Tanga politics. I am not a supporter of William Ruto. I support another political formation. But just because somebody has taken the podium, you take the platform and then you say the deputy president should apologize for the deaths of the Kisii people who died elsewhere, when it is not the deputy president. The deputy president has not been found guilty for having caused deaths of Kisiis anywhere. So when a leader says that the deputy president should apologize, I think it is wrong, because we must give everybody a fair chance. The deputy president has never been found guilty anywhere for the death of anybody. So you cannot rise up on the podium, then you say the deputy president should apologize. That was wrong. That was reckless. Basically what Simba Arati was doing was calling the Kisii people to rise up against the Kalenjin community. As a leader as a young person from Kisii land, I don't support what these two gentlemen did. And if you look at the act that happened during that burial, it is shameful, because young people like us, we want to vie. Personally, I will be vying for Member of Parliament North Mugirango constituency in 2022, and I'm a young person. You'll be a sort of neighbor. What will I tell the elders in my community? What will I tell the women? What will I tell my fellow youth when they are seeing an example of two elected young people, Simba Arati and Osoro? They'll be generalizing all of us and say, you young people, when we give you opportunities of leadership, you are going to punch each other in burials, and it will be they are diminishing the chances of young people at the ballot. So I don't support that act, what the two leaders did. I don't support Osoro rising up to the platform and then confronting Simba Arati, but I also don't support what Simba Arati did. So I think it was really provocative, because he was calling these guys thieves. In short, he was calling Osoro thieves and conmen. Osoro should have held his cool and taken the platform, because he had a chance, and respond to those instead of getting physical, because it was a bad demonstration. In fact, I'm very sure even the deputy president himself, because Osoro is very close to the DP, I'm sure the deputy president himself must call him to order. As a leader, he must call him to order and tell him next time, because the deputy president has made considerable inroads in Kisii land. So with the act of Osoro, I am sure there are people who are going to be cautious. They are going to say, if we give the deputy president a chance, and this is what his people are going to do in State House, then they will raise questions back. Because the deputy president himself is a civil man. He always argues out his points ideologically. If you listen to his speech in Kisii at that burial, he brought out ideological points. His ideological points are very sharp, they are very calculated, they are very witty. If you listen to them, you will know that this is a man who knows. He knows how to articulate his positions. And that is what, personally, I support. We should disagree on the basis of positions that are articulated ideologically. But I don't support physical violence. So because of the drums of war that we are beating, and I'm happy Ojwang is here, he has gone through this process. We are going to have a very bad election in 2022, because this is going to be a succession election. It's going to be it's not an ordinary election. It is a transition from one regime to another. If we don't take care, these red flags that we are seeing in Bama, in Githurai, somebody else is calling for this and this. We are going to zone this country, that person X cannot go to Central, person Y cannot come to Kisumu, person Z cannot go to Kalenjin land to campaign, Kamba, just like that. If we are going to zone this country into regions that you cannot campaign here, you cannot come to Githurai, you cannot come to Kericho, Kisumu, Kisii to campaign, then we are going to have a very bad general. It is going to be worse. And now that it is compounded by the pandemic that has ravaged the lives of our people, I am telling you, Bitok is going to be a worse election, because if war was to break out today, with the ravaging unemployment, and the young people are going to rise up to heed into the calls of war. So Sifuna must be called out.
There's something that Ojwang, I know you have something to weigh in, but there's something that this guy has brought up, the issue of IEBC. And I think the issue with IEBC and electoral system, it's like a moving dining table. You complain when it's on the other end. When it's on your end, you're okay. You know, it's okay, because you can see the same people have been complaining about the electoral system. The ODM party this time has been participating in actually interfering with the independence of IEBC. You know, the other day they were pushing IEBC, you must give us, you must approve these signatures, you must do this within this time. Where is the independence of institutions? And these are the same guys for the longest time. They have been complaining about the independence of institutions,
Right.
and the fidelity of the institutions to perform their duties without interference from either government or any other party. Now these guys are sitting in government, and for them they feel it is okay to intimidate the IEBC. It's okay to intimidate the IEBC chair, but it's not okay for another party to do the same thing on the independence of independent institutions in the government. We complain about these things when it's affecting us. When the dining table turns and now you have the chicken, you're saying it's okay. I mean, don't worry about the table. It's revolving, right? What's your feeling on that, Ojwang? Even as you weigh in on what you already putting up.
You know, I like the comment that and I wish him all the best with the ANC Secretary General. ANC must, if they are betrayed, they must not just say it in a harsh tone. By the way, I'm betrayed. But I support BBI, but I'm betrayed. They should not just be whispering. If you are betrayed, let the world know.
You've been betrayed.
I've been betrayed. Which is very different from the style they are doing. By the way, these are not good people. Remember, they promised to leave this thing for me. By the way, no, so that inconsistency is not good. But you know, I had a friend that whenever they play poker and they find that he's losing, he flips the table. He flips the table. Yeah. In fact, when you are winning and you are playing with him, you actually sit on the table and make sure the table is secured. Because as a defense mechanism, he will find every other way to flip that table. I think that what Simbarati was saying about the killing in Kisii is not fair, and it is intended. It's desperate. You know, when somebody is desperate, you can see that it's a desperate attempt, and is trying to flip the table. It appears to be boldness. The reason I'm not so much worried about even what Sifuna was saying, it might appear to be boldness, but I'm looking at fear. It is out of desperation and fear. Fear that they are losing the narrative, fear that they are losing the ground, and therefore you kind of want to reclaim, but you don't know how best to do. But so yes, IBC, whatever we can do to level the playfield, and that's why I think it is prudent to not follow individual but system or ideals like justice, fairness, humanity, because human beings flip-flop. Today they are here, tomorrow they are the other side. But if we are a country of law and rules and system and good governance, then it doesn't matter. Martha Karua likes saying, you know, when you are making law, make it that your enemy can fit to it, because tomorrow you might need it. This has been said severally. The revolution needs its baby and all that. But yeah, so you find, you are right, you know, Junet these days speak like Jesus with a lot of finality, even on issues that are far remote, because of the promise of the system. But I want to conclude by just wondering aloud that it looks to me that the two gentlemen here have put a lot of faith in what law is and what law is capable of doing. But I think law was not meant to change things. Law always work on the interest generally of the powerful. Law aids human right and the invisibility of abuse, because the law protects property sometime that it doesn't matter how you got it. If you look at colonization and all the system, the Europeans brought law not to help Africans or to label the playfield, but to structurally have violence. so that when you are, they have put handicap on you, as you are saying Mau Mau, you are labeled a criminal. It doesn't matter whether you are fighting at the essence of justice about your land. When this is state violence, when you are put in prison there, we all say those are uhalifu. But if we look around, how many are really truly guilty in there, and how many rich people are not? So, you know, there is one literature that says when a death or a tragedy visit the king or royalty, it become a calamity. But if it visit the common man, it's just statistics. Statistics are,
it's an event,
are numbers with tears washed off. So law, we are being very optimistic with what law can do. If Maraga Chief Justice found himself so helpless that he'll even saying, my people, protect the rule of law, things that have ordered the country to do, we have ruled about even the judges should be appointed, the government have refused. So generally we can talk of rule of law and all that, but law in its essence aids the powerful. Law in its essence aids those who have means of production. Law in its essence maintains the status quo. If there is field that is more conservative, that it is hard to change, it is the legal field. So lower your expectation in what law can do, and therefore I'm not surprised when we say, wow, oh, this is two systems. We can always challenge it from outside and say this is not the ideals, but law have never been about the ideal. Law have always aided. You know, I remember my first class in law school, when the teacher asked me, why are you here? And I said, for justice. He told me you need, and truth. He told me you need to go to a seminary. This is not where there is truth and all that. This is where law is very conservative. Law always aid the poor, not the poor, but the rich. Now look, think about it. Who are in parliament? Are they middle class? Are they the poor people? Do you think law would have been different if it was made by people from Kibera? I think so. If the so-called hustlers were the one in parliament, the unemployed are the ones in parliament making law, will it be the same? No. But who are the parliamentarians who are making the law? They are generally middle class, isn't it? Yeah. And if they are not middle class, they are given a lot of money so that they catch up and become middle class. Why? How do you think they are going to rule? Are they headed towards poverty or headed towards wealth? Their trajectory of life is towards getting more money. So are they going to make laws for the poor or laws for the rich? That is what has been happening. These things, even the debt ceiling we are talking about, have been approved all this time in parliament, have they not? There is no day that parliament have rejected to increase the debt ceiling. Yeah. How? So where is the independence of institution? Where is the separation of power? We have really, you know, Africans are good with setting institutions and the constitution without constitutionalism, and it's only by name, but by action. I'm telling you, whoever sits in State House can control parliament, and they do control parliament, control who sits in a committee. They are called, and the parliamentarians who are there, the name of the people who have been selected are read to them. Isn't it ironical that they are the ones in parliament and the separation of power? They're the ones who should be saying who we are going to give minority chief whip or whatever. How many times do you even see real voting or on issues in parliament? It's like robots. You should just go and count how many are for Baba, how many are for... And you
don't even need to vote.
No, why?
You count them at the door and you already say...
Let Orengo give us the ODM numbers and Nani give us... Mutula Jr. give us the Nini numbers. What is so ingenious about him refusing to vote for Sonko that he is abstaining? What is so what is the innovation there? So have you seen, if parliamentarians cannot vote, they are conscious, my friend, and they have never voted on issues, and it is simply a matter of what the party leader... There is no party in Kenya, you know that. There is no party. We try to put money and give it to party. We don't have parties. We have the party leaders, and wherever they move, isn't it? They are the parties. Yeah. So there is no institution of parties. these people, if parliamentarians cannot vote on their conscience or on issues, why do you blame Wanjiku? Where will Wanjiku get the goosebump to now do the right thing if the member of parliament elected with 60,000 votes is called like a child and told, I heard what you said in the press, go there in the next 5 minutes and give a different position. Do you remember that Mbadi recant?
Yeah.
Where Junaid simply said, like, God, I think he has not been briefed of the new development. And he came and said, yeah, I think now that I've been briefed well. I mean, are you a robot? Are you in autopilot? Do you have your mind? So why do we blame, if that is what we are given? We have a country where, you know, look at the US. There are some Republicans disagree with Trump and said, I'm a Republican, but here you are wrong. Can that happen in Kenya? And when we have it, now when people who were championing for justice, fairness, and freedom, right now, Senator Sorengo's favorite quote is Machiavelli. Where I don't know where he dropped the Constitution, I don't know where he dropped Montego and all that. Now it's like power. There's only one leader. And Machiavelli, he has become friends with Machiavelli. He's very intimate with Machiavelli. And whatever, no wonder whatever is happening with the BBI is Machiavellian. Machiavelli was a book written in, I don't know, 1700, 1800. Europe moved far from there. But if you go to our political science department, we still talk of leaders ruling like Machiavelli, leave alone that we came with the 2010 constitution. So I'm saying all this to say that lower your hopes and don't be so disappointed when you find that law was not meant to help the poor. Law was not meant to label the playing field. That is not the purpose of law. Do people go to law school to fight for the poor? No. The first case you have is a case of eviction, that this person has not paid, though they have paid all the premium they were given, the principal, but now the interest is maybe twice, and they now go to court and get eviction. And we were told as good lawyers that even if it's a case of eviction, do not finish your submission by without saying, Your Honor, for the sake of justice, even if you know there's no justice. For the sake of justice, Your Honor, may I move this court to agree that my client here, who is now asking 3 times the price of the interest, for the sake of justice. Those are just terminology there. So law, your expectation and the law. I've said it here severally that Kenya have changed not because of law, but because of dissent. People have always been ahead of the law, isn't it? People have always been ahead of the law. Baba swearing was ahead of the law. BBI is coming to catch up with this swearing in, and now Prime Minister is coming position to ratify. So people in Kenya things have never been moved by law. By the time Moi was changing to multi-party, was it because he had a clean heart? By the time he's telling Saitoti, Professor, there come a time that country is more important, was it because they like this country? It was because of the embargo. It was because of the noise of the likes of Orengo. So put up your big boy pants, get to the street, agitate. But if you keep turning those pages of the Constitution, all you can do is make a philosophical argument. Law takes vigilance, and the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. Thanks.
Hiyo sasa ametupiga na makwats mzito. Now let's move to MCAs. MCAs are demanding for 2 million grants, 2.5 million for them to pass BBI. Very conditional. Give us the grants even yesterday in current. Give us the grants and we pass the BBI for you. What should we Wananchi be asking for? Where is the place of the Wananchi? Because these are the guys who are the representatives of the people, and they are saying this is what we want. And these are the people who are giving also these grants, and the people are saying they want to fight corruption. Where is the line? Is there not a very thin line or white line between corruption and what is happening now? If this thing is so good, Walter, why do we need to bribe MCAs? Do we even need meetings?
From the very beginning, BBI was not a people-driven initiative, and we have all said that. BBI was a government initiative. It was from the top, now being imposed at the bottom. And I want to say before I go further that what Dr. Ojwang has said regarding ANC party, that we are saying these things in harsh voices, that is not true. As a party, we said clearly and we stated this position. I think the good doctor is busy consummating the law. He has not been following the politics in ANC.
Ouch.
He has not been following around what we are doing, because he's a very brilliant doctor. I think he's reading too much of the law and he's not following the ANC news. What we have said publicly,
I mean, we've been seeing your party leader also having clandestine affairs. The same people he claims to have betrayed.
Not really, because all the political leaders in Kenya
having multiple orgasms.
With these oppressors.
Not
with
true.
these oppressors.
That is not true. All the political party leaders in this country have participated on the same platform, whether it is BBI 1, BBI 2. And Bitok, let me state this clear so that I move to the question.
Right.
ANC party, we have said that we are not joining Jubilee. When other parties were joining Jubilee, running, in fact, they were not even thinking, they were running to Jubilee to sign cooperation agreements. That is Elter Skelter. That is a mouthful of word. When other parties were running to join Jubilee, KANU signed a cooperation with Jubilee. Wiper, CCM, which other party signed with Jubilee?
KANU.
ODM is in Jubilee because of the handshake. They are eating in the same table. It is only ANC that put a public position that ANC, we are not going to join Jubilee. We are not going to sign a cooperation agreement with Jubilee. And we stated that publicly.
We are just going to
Reason
cooperate.
being, no, we said we are not going to cooperate with Jubilee.
Okay.
I use those words. And we said it.
Will you allow me to pull in a call?
Yes.
There's a call online. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Gerald Bito.
How are you, sir?
I'm very fine. This is Chief Kwan Farida.
Jambo.
Jambo sana. You are having a very nice discussion. We really appreciate the way you're encouraging us and telling us whatever is really happening.
Thank you so much, my brother.
My concern is about the Honorable Swaga from Kondele Ward. Saying that Kondele is a non-gazetted military base for ODM.
Yeah.
It really shows that Kenyans are ready for any time. And if these are what leaders are telling us, then we shall follow, because these are political leaders, and maybe it might lead into something else. Currently, people are so idle. Anything small, 500 shillings, 200 shillings, can ignite war in any point. So our leaders should be very, very careful in whatever they are telling us and whatever they are using, or whatever they are saying when they have that podium to tell us things. Just like the other day in Kisi, Simbarat is telling William Ruto to apologize on things he never did. Is that not justifying that in the next 2 or 3 weeks, Simbarat won't step in Rift Valley, because now he said that Kisis were killed in Rift Valley, which was not happening under William Ruto's watch. It means whatever Simbarat was insinuating, that William Ruto supervised the killing of Kisis in Rift Valley, so that he cannot apologize, because you can't claim something that you don't have any evidence. I think the National Coalition and the Integration Commission should consider interrogating Simbarat and give evidence against what he said the other day in Kisi.
Okay.
About Professor George Magoha. That is a medical professor. You cannot make him go down to school. They think he should be changed the ministry either to health, or let him go home and practice medicine, because the education needs these small basic things to be followed.
Maybe you give it to Ojwang.
Ojwang cannot. Ojwang is a sycophant of professor. He cannot. He will be following what professor did.
He'll pick it where he left it.
Yeah, he'll pick the pen where professor left. So there will be little change. The change that will be there is only that whoever is coming in is a doctor and the previous one was a professor. You have a fantastic day.
Thank you so much, bro. I really appreciate it. Have a good day. And thank you so much for tuning into the tackle. Keep sharing with your networks.
Welcome. Thank
you so much. Have a good day. Mong'are, pick it up from where you left it.
You've seen the callers have said Ojwang should be independent so that we promote him to the ministry. He becomes he can really do good. He seems to have the right demeanor.
He has the latitude.
He can do a good job, and I hope one day he rises to that position.
He will.
And even more.
The very sharp guy.
And
When I become president, I'll make him CS. Soon enough.
Amen. Now, I was saying that we have stated our position as a party, and we have said that we are not going to cooperate with you because we respect the principle of parliamentary democracy, that if you don't form government, automatically you're in the opposition. And as a party, we respect that principle. And we know we never formed government. Whether it was fairly or unfairly, we never formed government. So us, we have remained outside the government. We are the only party that has been criticizing Jubilee. And we have been stating the positions. We have been talking about reviving the economy. We have been talking about the issues of public debt. So we have stated this position clearly to the public, that ANC party is not in Jubilee. We are not going to join Jubilee. What we have been saying is that there is this BBI that came, the report, BBI 1 and BBI 2. And we sent our party leader through the party structures. We interrogated the BBI document. In BBI 1, we sent our party leader to raise pertinent issues pertaining Kenyans, the poor person. He did that. In BBI 2, we interrogated that report and we stated 15 positions. And we said that if you're not going to amend this report in point A, B, C, we stated the 15 positions, then we're not going to support the BBI. Eventually, the BBI steering committee had our cries, and they said ANC party is correct, these positions are agreeable, they are for the benefit of the masses. For instance, we said that the judiciary ombudsman is going to be a prefect of the judges and undermine the independence of the judiciary as an institution. We also said that the Kenya Police Council was going to negate the gains we have made in securing the independence of the police service. We pointed out so many things. We pointed out to the issue of strengthening the Senate so that they have a role in vertical resource allocation going to counties and national government. We pointed out these issues. And when the steering committee received our memoranda, they immediately rectified that. And we said now we have a fair version of BBI. And we said that we are going to support the BBI. So that is the position we took. I thought that I should state it clear. Okay. As a party, we are not saying these things the way Dr. was saying in harsh tones, in low tones and gestures, and then we are also shouting at the rooftops that here we are being betrayed. So I thought I should state that position. Okay. Fast forward, the MCAs in this country, they have a mandate from their electorates, from the wards, which are the basic electoral units in this country. Now, I expect that our MCAs should be the guardian angels of devolution. They should defend the interests of the masses at the lowest electoral unit, which at that ward level. But we have seen what is happening. The president went to Sagana, though I never heard the president verbally say those things, that he's going to give them 2 million. I can only comment on what I've read in the news, that the president promised them the car grants. And if that is a trend, then the president should be prepared to also bribe the voters, because the MCA is not the MCAs who are not going to vote on this document. It is the voters who are going to come and vote. So what is the president prepared to give the voters to vote for BBI? If he's going to move in this trend, then it is disappointing. I am going to expect that, because in the MCAs is only where we have more than 1,000 elected young people, I'm going to expect that these young people are going to rise up and say that we have a generational mission. We want to end this culture of impunity, the culture of corruption, that for us to pass something that is good for the country, then we must be bribed for us to vote. I'm expecting the County Assemblies Forum to take a common position and say that these monies that are being allocated to MCAs should be taken to other important services like health and education, so that we interrogate the BBI report at the County Assemblies level from a position of consciousness. Ojwang talked about voting your conscience. I think this not should be voting about just conscience. The MCAs should vote what is good for the country. If the government is making a proposition in BBI that more resources are going to county, and they are putting a sweetener that MCAs are going to get 5%, MCAs should not be excited about that. They should be able to understand what are the roles of the county assemblies. The roles of the county assembly is not to oversee resource management. The roles of the county assembly is to legislate, oversight, and represent. We must stick, and Prof will educate us on this principle of separation of powers. The MCAs should not be excited with the idea of 5%. All these monies must be performed by the executive branch at the county. Their work is to ensure that there is adequate oversight, there is adequate representation of the people at the county assembly. So just because the government has thrown in, and I think this is a mediocre proposal, that just because you put a 5% for the wards, then it is assumed that it is the MCAs who are going to manage this. We have been having a long struggle of making sure that MPs do not have an oversight, a management role on the CDF. People have gone to court to ensure that the CDF is removed from the hands of the members of parliament, because it is, you cannot say that you are oversighting the executive at the same time you want to administer the management of the resources. How will you oversight yourself? So we must move away from this mediocre thinking as a country, that just because these sweeteners have been thrown here and there, then it is wrong. So let's interrogate the BBI report with sobriety. Let's vote what is good for this country. If we don't do that, we talk. And I'm saying this because in our presence we have a good doctor of the law. He will tell us some of these things, what the law says. If we don't vote what is good for this country, if the government cannot be able to use goodwill to increase resources, because these MCAs are being, these sweeteners are being thrown their way. If the government can say that today we want to devolve 40% without the constitution, then the goodwill is sufficient to devolve more resources other than putting the minimum guarantees in the constitution. So personally, I am calling upon the county assemblies. This is the moment they need to rise up and show leadership and move away from the 2 million. This MCA, any MCA, and I'm making this pronouncement here, any MCA who is going to decline the 2 million is going to get another 5 years from the poor, the people. The people are, the mood on the ground on BBI is that it needs more civic education. The people need to be educated on what this animal called BBI is. And I'm in the group that is supporting BBI now. But I'm also saying, I'm saying that it's the truth. I'm also saying that as much as we support BBI, our people have not understood what is this animal called BBI. If you go to my constituency in North Mugrango, many people don't understand the BBI. So probably they are taking decisions on documents they have not read. And it's not, you cannot blame the people. The people don't have the time. They are busy looking for money to fund for their families, to look after their lives. They don't have time to read the BBI document. So, and the politicians, us, who are interpreting this document, we are interpreting it selfishly. We are interpreting it in sections that are going to suit our personal interest, acquisition of power. So the document needs proper civic education so that the people can make an informed decision. So even if MCAs are going to vote for the BBI to go forward to the referendum, then you can take this to the bank. The people are going to have a final say on the fate of BBI.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
Tafadhali, is it my background?
Good morning.
Good morning to you. So, who am I speaking to?
Meshach.
Yes, Meshach. How are you?
I'm good, Gerald.
Happy New Year, bwana.
Happy New Year.
Umetupotelea sana.
Sijapotea. I am listening. I'm following.
Thank you, bro. How was the New Year started?
My New Year started well.
Habari ya Konde.
Let me just say
Let's say you guys have an ungazetted military barracks in Kondele.
Yes, let me say a few, 2 or 3 things. Listening to Mong'are,
yes,
I can't help but say he fits being in ANC.
Oh, okay. Why do you say that?
Yeah, ANC has never had a position. He really fits being there.
Ujakuja na uzuri, Meshach. Endelea.
There is nothing wrong with being somewhere.
All right.
Yeah, because when you listen to him and then you listen to Linda Katiba and then you listen to the other side, you see him fit very well there. And if that is the position of ANC, and then ANC is one of the few parties that are confusing Kenyans a lot. Yeah? Because when there is something about BBI, they are in front. Then when they come to debate or anything else, everything Linda Katiba is their thing. Everything that is negating all that is what they are advocating for. Then you wonder, even yourself sitting with him there, Now, what is his position? Is he supporting BBI or is he supporting the Linda Katiba position? Which position can you say, and Dr. John, that this man is supporting BBI or is not supporting BBI? According to what you have heard him say, the whole of his message is Kenyans should not vote this thing. Kenyans should not do this. MCA who wants to get another term should actually denounce this thing. And then at the end of the day, he tells you, I am now among the people supporting BBI. What does that man say in short? So that is typically ANC, because if that is the leadership of ANC youth, and what is basically ANC, a very confused team. I think the guy was making a joke, although it's a bad joke. But deep inside, so many people, there is feeling that if the likes of, and I think somebody had already mentioned it, when we saw people like Mwaura had already moved and gathered people to stop Raila, there are people who support Raila and feel like, has it gone to that level where Mwaura can organize to stop Raila? But Raila was not inviting himself to Githurai. It is the traders and those elders who met him in Rwanda openly before the camera, invited him to Githurai to come to the market. And then somebody like Mwaura can now organize a troop and say they are going to stop Raila. That is why the Kondele guy says, I mean, people are beginning to bring a little Madarao here and there, like we saw in Burma and whatever. It's not like we don't know and we can't do that. But I think it is a bad joke. Whether it's a joke or whatever, it's a bad joke for the country. So the next thing, people like Simba went too far. That was overboard. I think those are not discussions the country needs now. What I would urge us to begin now is probably the content of the BBI. What is in that amendment? What was the law before, and what are we amending? I think that is what will now help Kenyans a lot to understand that if I'm going to vote either yes or I'm going to vote no, this is what my yes vote means, this is what my no vote means. I mean, we should even move away from BBI 1, BBI 2 and all that. We should now be having, this is what the law has now, and this is the proposed amendment. We are amending this to mean this. I think that is the discussion we now need to have.
All right. Thank you so much, Mesha. Kuna kuja lini?
When you give the invitation, I will.
Haya, karibu next week mkuje mumenyana na huyo Mong'are wako.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, bro. Have a good day. This is your time to respond. I'm also seeing someone here has offered you a wife. If you are not single, somebody is saying that tell Mong'are he can make a good brother-in-law. If he's not a so, ukimaliza hapo juu na nilipa kakitu. Tukule mahali na yeye. Lazima tugawane katikati. All right, it's your time to respond.
First of all, I want to talk to Meshach. And you know, I'm in this show because you invited me, both in the capacity of ANC, but I also I don't surrender my conscience of thought. I mean, my freedom of thought.
I think there's someone here as well. Let's just pick this. Hello, good morning. I'm sorry for interrupting your thoughts. I had forgotten there was a call that I was always waiting. Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Yes, I'm doing fine. This is Governor P. Muchendo.
P. Muchendo, jambo.
Niko salama, kwanza nisalimie Ojwang, nimemtafuta mwaka mpya. Does it not my call?
No, I can't do that to you, Paul.
I've called you, but it's good to hear your submissions this morning. Na tafadhali Mong'are mwambieni ajue where he stands. You cannot have your cake and eat it, my brother. It is either you are supporting BBI or you are not, because you cannot be talking about Reader Katiba and then you are talking about supporting BBI. Reader Katiba and BBI are talking two different things. And I have heard you talk about the Kregra report, and you have also questioned why we need BBI if you have Kregra report. And then you go ahead to say you are one of those people supporting BBI. You need to find your landing place and know exactly what you really want. Going forward, I think what happened in Kisii is something that needs to be checked very seriously. I do not support what Osoro did, because I'll tell you this, as much as I castigate what Simba Arati did, the measure of a leader and a gentleman is your ability to withstand such nonsense as being put at the stage. It is coming out clearly that Osoro is a person needs to apologize to us as hustlers, because we as hustlers, we know how to compose ourselves. We know how to stand. As much as I know Simba Arati, when he was calling people wash and gunman, he was directing it to Osoro. The beauty about democracy is that you also get a right of reply and do castigate such things. So therefore, I think we need, as Daktari has able put it, there is no political temperature. We are simply discussing issues. We just need to behave a little bit better. But there are people who want to whip emotions that the political temperature has escalated. I'm not of that opinion, Peter. I'm of the opinion that probably people need to behave a little bit better, but there is no political temperature. We are simply expressing how we feel about the issues and how we are being governed. Hakuna the political temperature.
So kaende.
Yes, mtu akikwambia ati kwanza tuache siasa tufanye kazi. We are not the ministers of finance. We are not the permanent secretaries. We are not the technocrats. They do not stop you. If you are constructing road, Ojwang coming to the TV and speaking does not stop you from doing that construction. So people are just playing politics. Unaambia wengine waache siasa tufanye kazi. Unatuambia tunyamaze ili uendelee ku practice stable manners na kukula. We will not shut up. Kaende. You gentlemen, kakande kabisa. You gentlemen, you have yourself a lovely day.
Kwanza wewe ulienda Sagana bwana. Kwani ukwenda Sagana? Na kulikuwa na giritano na uchumi na kwamba.
Mimi ni takataka. So
lakini ungeendea hapo kwa giritano uchumi ni mbaya bro.
Let me tell you, and I will be honest, and tomorrow when I come to the studio I'm going to show you,
Yeah.
It was said that the guys who went to Sagana were being promised that each will pocket about 50,000 shillings. Two of my friends were invited to Sagana, so because it's 50,000, they decided they will go at the area, book a hotel at a cost of 6,000 a night.
Walikuwa wamefanya budget?
Walaukia Sagana mapema.
Kama majamaa wa vitanda wa Kiambu, nasikia walianza mpaka kuomba loan.
Wacha nikwambie my friend, I had to bail some of my friends and give them fuel to come from Sagana because they decided that they will spend their money on hotel waiting to be given that 50,000. And you know, I keep on telling these young people, they are being used. Unaenda hapo kusema the mountain is united. You know, are being given 5,000 as they are going into the meeting venue. So, and na wakipewa 5,000 wanaambiwa hiyo ni ya kuachia hapo ili uhunyea kikamu mpige nduru vizuri. Mkitoka tunatoka, walitoka wakakuta gate zote zimefunguliwa. Mtu waende kwao nyumbani. Na hapa leo unakuja kutuambia the mountain is united. What was so entertaining about that meeting we talked? Over 40 MPs, representatives of the people from Central Kenya were not invited. They did not fail to show up. They were never invited in the first place. And you are talking about the unity of the mountain. In fact, I would dare say the people who gave the idea of Sagana 3, it was ill-informed. It is actually coming out here that you as the head of state has not only failed to unite the republic, you have failed to unite the people from where you come from. Because when you are 40 MPs not in attendance in a meeting put everything to together.
Okay, Mushendo no mapata. All right, let me give you an opportunity, Mushendo. Nathaniel.
Yes.
Haya, wacha tufunge masimu, tutazungumza tena kesho.
Yes.
We'll pick up the phones from tomorrow.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a final comments talk. First of all, Meshach said that I am defending Linda Katiba. I don't know even what is Linda Katiba. I have only had I just made statements regarding the positions, my own personal thoughts and the positions of the party, and I made them clear. And I said that initially we were not supporting BBI. Yeah. When BBI 1 came, we made some recommendations that we need to improve here. When BBI 2 came, we also talked about the issues of the private sector, working for the economy, making sure that the economy is working for everyone. Now, when I made those statements, I was just giving a chronological account of events on how ANC has walked the journey into finally settling into supporting BBI. So I am not a confused person. ANC is not a confused party. We have put out this position clearly. It is only that, and I understand, everybody has political biases. Probably his political bias is ODM. And, we have never had any fight with ODM as a party. In any case, as ANC, we have supported ODM. We formed NASA. We gave the party leader of ODM to be the flag bearer of NASA, despite the fact that we were the vision bearers of NASA. So I don't have any differences, and to say that the reason why I'm opposing BBI is because I don't know the position of ANC. I know the position of ANC clearly. We are supporting BBI now because the issues we were raising on behalf of the people were sorted out. Secondly, Governor Mushendo has said that I should find my landing. I think he did not listen keenly to when I was presenting. When I say the issues of Kriegler Commission report, Ndungu Commission report, the TJRC report, doesn't he know that the BBI document itself, because BBI has 3 parts. BBI has the administrative part, proposals, it has the policy proposals together with the legislation, and then it has this constitutional amendment bill. Now, Mushendo himself doesn't know that BBI in its report has recommended for the speedy implementation of Kriegler, TJRC, and Ndungu Commission. The BBI itself, I don't know whether he has read the report. It has recommended that these reports must be implemented. If that is the language of Linda Katiba, so be it. Because I'm just making things. Personally, I have interrogated the report.
But the question is, I mean, I don't even think you need to defend yourself. Is there a straight jacket that if you're supporting BBI, you must all think alike? Because you could have your personal biases as well, not even political, personal biases. Like you feel, I agree with you, but I disagree on this and this and this.
Exactly. BBI, we are fully supporting BBI right now. Personally, I am. And as a party, we are also supporting BBI. But it doesn't mean that we lose the freedom of thought. We need to contribute to the public discourse so that our people make better informed decisions. That is the nature of democracy. So I cannot be taken to the silos that I must support BBI with conditions that if I'm supporting BBI, then I'm not allowed to make certain statements. Then that will be stifling democracy that BBI itself seeks to address. So I am not supporting. I'm just disagreeing with their positions. I think Governor Mushendo, and I highly respect Mushendo because he's one of the persons who makes calculated points. I have been with him in this show. I listen to him when he's in this show, when he's making his contributions. So I think he did not listen keenly to when I was making the presentation. So, or rather, he has not read the BBI report itself.
Exhaustively.
So Mushendo should go and exhaust reading the BBI report, because the BBI report is a long report. It has recommended many things. In fact, the other day I was on Citizen TV, and I told somebody BBI has recommended that there be created a department called Happiness, Wellness, and Mental Health. And they were wondering whether that is in the BBI report. It has proposed that.
But the question is, how can you legislate happiness?
Because the BBI has proposed that we need to have that department of happiness, wellness, and they were surprised that proposal is. So many people have focused on the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020, which is just one part of BBI. There are 12 legislations. I know many people have not read the proposed legislations. I know many people have not read the policy proposition together with the administrative proposals on how to correct some of the ills in this country. So people are focused on the Constitutional Amendment Bill, and they have forgotten that there is this other part of the report. So personally, I will not lose the freedom of my thoughts. I will not lose my conscience to contribute to this public discourse that is going to make our people take informed decisions.
Ojwang, you'll be happy if the BBI passes. You're going to legislate happiness. You're actually closing in the next 3 minutes. Maybe I'll give you, Ojwang, 1 minute, and then I also give back the other 1.5 minutes for closing remarks for tackle of the day.
Yeah, I think the confusion might also come because BBI is also focused on the constitutional amendment. It's interesting, for example, having a report on implementing reports. After you have all the reports,
you have the report, you need another report to implement
on BBI to say I'm going to implement it. It's like a task list. Today I'm going to park here, I'm going to shop here. But I think Mong'are is a very able leader, and he has a human agency. He should be allowed to exercise his human action without being straitjacketed, because that's the problem. He must not speak like Mudavadi, though I'm afraid he's speaking more like Mudavadi. And I think that's his mentor. He's becoming a little Mudavadi from my neighboring county in Kisii there. He's a Mudavadi in the making. You kind of...
They cut off the corner of the clock and they made him a shot.
You become a bellwether, you stay in the middle, not so much opposed, not so much in support. And that is good. I like that brand of politics because it is inclusivity rather than maybe just mere courage. So Mong'are is Mudavadi in the making, which is not a bad thing. That's a compliment. That's a compliment. After all,
if you have to say it's a compliment, then it's not.
No, but then you know one of the parts I wanted to highlight as I finish,
please,
is the constitutionality that Mong'are pointed out of things like giving people who should be playing oversight role grants. I doubt that the part on the judiciary ombudsman was removed. It was recrafted.
Yes.
But it's still toxic. Even ICJ have said it is still very dangerous. But the principle in the Constitution is separation of power. But when you take money and give it to MP, CDF, when you take that money and give it to the county representative, then you are undermining that principle of separation of power. Because now where is the oversight? But finally, I think that when I look at the BBI, just one part that I'm saddened, and I'm saddened about a lot of parts, but I'm saddened about one part, that BBI is saying the Minister of Finance, on their own, can stop money going to county on allegation of gross corruption. We know that the Minister of Finance is appointed by the President. We know that the Minister of Finance, which, by the way, that is the biggest downside of BBI, because BBI, by that time, governors, the Council of Governors had gone to court to say Minister of Finance and Ministry of Finance is behaving like it is Ministry of National Government. You are Minister of Finance for all of us. Revenue also come from county. So it's not about that things come from Nairobi. No, things come from Homa Bay. They get to Nairobi, then they come back. So we are not benevolent. You are not being benevolent. You are giving us. So, but the Minister of Finance is given power, as I conclude, to stop money going to county in this BBI. That is the biggest upfront in case of corruption.
And that is actually empowerment of devolution.
In case of corruption, it says in gross corruption, the Minister of Finance can stop the money. Now, this person don't have to go to court. This person don't have to talk to any agency. They can simply say, I'm not going to send money because there is gross corruption. I mean, are we strengthening devolution? Because the principle of devolution was subsidiarity. That these are 48 governments. Who stopped national government money when there's gross corruption? And I'm afraid that when you have scrupulous leadership, they will be using that clause to stifle county that are not playing along, simply saying, I've stopped your money because I'm investigating there is allegation of corruption. Surely that is not strengthening devolution. That is weakening devolution. If you look at the BBI, it is prescribing how those people should use the money. That is also underrating those people intelligence. The principle of devolution was that the people on the ground know better, not somebody in Nairobi. So now you go and tell him, this money will go here and here and here. How about if that is not our priority? Exactly. So it is a bridge birth, as I said before. A bridge birth is a baby who was being born well, but they come through their buttocks and not the face, and therefore they can kill the mother.
You're closing remarks. Your tackle of the day, Mong'are, as we go home.
My tackle of the day is that the poor masses of our people must interrogate this document, because it's going to affect their generations. We are not going to have, the president keeps saying about it is a constitutional moment, but it cannot be a constitutional moment when the people have not interrogated the report. The constitution are made for the people. The people are not made for the constitution. So if the constitution has to work for the people, then the constitution must work for the wishes and aspiration of the people, particularly the hopes and the struggles of the daily masses, the millions of young people who are suffering, those who have graduated from school but they cannot find a job. So those people are the ones that the constitution must address, their hopes, their daily struggles, and their aspirations.
All right. Thank you so much. Ojwang has always said that you cannot manufacture a constitutional moment. So there's nobody who has the right or the leverage and the latitude to manufacture and tell us now we have a constitutional moment. To the tacklers who have been watching us, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Walter Mong'are. Thank you so much, NATHANIEL MONG'ARE, for coming in. We appreciate you. We hope to see you again. Tacklers who have been watching, Farid Faraji, sorry we could not pick your call kwa sababu ya masaa. Tafadhali call tomorrow on time and I'll start with you. Tachukua simu yako ya kwanza. Thank you so much and have a good day. See you tomorrow and bye-bye. This is the tackle ends now. See you.